G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. If you like these kinds of stories, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you get an update as soon as these stories come out. With that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, and let's get right into it. Posted by user LessSentence4323, titled, "My ex-husband wouldn't let my youngest daughter be at my wedding, please help me." So I need to give you some backstory. My husband, 37 male, and I, 37 female, have been divorced for 6 years now. We have 2 daughters, Emily, 16 female, and Gabby, 8 female, and we were happily married for 10 years. My husband cheated on me with a freshman in college and left me for her. It was hard for me. I was in so much emotional pain. It wasn't just his cheating, but also how he said that he hates me and that I looked ugly. He even said something along the lines of, I was not as tight as I used to be. You can imagine my pain. It gave me some serious trust issues. I couldn't forget what he said to me during our divorce. Emily knew why we divorced, and she held some resentment towards her father for that. Gabby was too young at that time. Nonetheless, he was a crappy husband, but a good father to the both of them. We shared custody. The girls would be with me from Friday to Monday, and I tried my best, but from time to time I would spiral. I've been in and out of therapy since my divorce. I met my now husband, Ben, 41 male, 4 years ago. We met because we worked in the same building, and I was crying on the roof of the office building. Ben was there too when he saw me. He asked me what happened, and I just bawled my eyes out because that day was my wedding anniversary, and that was the same day that my ex decided that he would get married to his affair partner. Ben listened to my concerns, and he stayed with me the whole day to make sure that I was fine. He even dropped me to my house because I was too emotionally unstable to drive myself. From there, we started dating. He told me his story about how he lost his wife and only daughter 10 years ago in a car accident. He was really fond of my daughters as well. Emily has started to call him Dad after a year of us dating. Gabby also calls him Daddy Ben. I was finally healing and getting back to my old self. Ben was really nice and caring. We welcomed our son a year ago. My girls are happy to have a brother. He proposed to me when I was pregnant, and we had been planning for our wedding since then. Now, here is the issue. Emily is one of my bridesmaids. Gabby is my flower girl. Emily is old enough to choose which parent she wants to live with, so there was no issue from her part. But Gabby was still going back and forth from my house to my ex's house. My wedding is in 2 weeks. My ex was fine with it. I spoke to him many times to make sure that he drives Gabby to my mother's place, but now he refuses. He says that he only gets to see his daughters 3 times a week, and he is not willing to give up his days for some party. I told him that he could just take my days for a week and let her be at the wedding. He said that he will not let Gabby go. The wedding is on a Tuesday, which means that Gabby would be with him. I cannot change the date because everything is booked. Please give me some advice. We have argued a lot, and I don't think that I can go through any emotional pain with this ever again. Gabby would be heartbroken because she is really excited to be the flower girl. To give my unsolicited and unprofessional advice, I'd just hold Gabby at my house, call my lawyer up and say, you deal with any backlash that happens. I'm not letting Gabby leave this house until she has been at my wedding and she experiences the joy of that day without this asshole ruining it. Gabby deserves to be there. He's being an absolute asshole by trying to stop her. He's just doing the typical, couple that doesn't get along because there was a messy breakup thing. If you ever get to hear this video, ex-husband, I hope the worst for you. Now to the comments, let's see what Reddit has to say. Titris says, wow, what a massive asshole. Tell him you'll give up months worth of days for that one day because it is a monumental special occasion. Ask him if he really is that heartless to hurt his daughter just to spite you. Ask him if he can look her in the eye and explain to her why she doesn't get to be a flower girl in her mum's wedding. Ask him if he hates you more than he loves his daughter. Will your older child talk to him? While it's not really fair to put her in that situation, it may help. OP responds, I don't want to put this pressure on her. She already hates him for what he had done. I don't think giving up a month just for one day seems logical, but I will have a harsh talk with him. He cannot keep my daughter away from me. User 57701 says, Less. Your ex is using your youngest daughter to get to you. It's not about her or the wedding, it's about pushing buttons. He knows how to do it, and he's found one to push. Decolator has the right answer. I learned it the hard way. In total disclosure, my ex did something similar. I thought she was above that, but she wasn't. My 4 kids didn't go to my wedding to second and current wife. They hold that against her still, 23 years later. Karma sucks sometimes. As a last-ditch effort, contact the attorney that you used when you got divorced. See if they'll draft a letter to him reminding him that events in parents' lives are usually negotiated between the willing parents for the good of the children. Maybe a letter will adjust his thinking. If not, I'd follow Decolator's advice. Send a final text and then let it go. I'm not sure how he's going to explain to the youngest why the oldest can go and she can't, but that's his anchor. And if younger asks why, tell her that dad's pushing for you not to be there. I want you there, he does not. Firmly point out that this is on him, not you. Congrats on the upcoming wedding. Focus on the day, not the jerk messing with you. And now on to the update. So it's been hectic since the last I posted. So I mentioned in my last post that my ex-husband, with whom I share 2 children, Emily and Gabby, is a dick. Emily lives with me now, but occasionally goes to her father's place. I made that post on a Wednesday. I went on Friday to pick up Gabby. My daughter, Emily, was pissed. I asked her what happened. She says that Gabby was throwing a tantrum because of some stupid lie their father had told Gabby that they will be going on a vacation on my wedding day. Gabby said no. She was excited to be my flower girl, and she threw a tantrum. I was furious. This cowardly man wanted to take my daughter away from me so that she is never my flower girl. I stomped my way into his house and demanded to see my daughter. My fiancé was with me. I demanded to see my daughter, and she said that he was a coward for not telling my daughter the real reason why she can't be at my wedding. My daughter rushed towards my fiancé, Ben. I told him to tell Gabby the truth. I was done with this man. I told him that if he doesn't tell her, then I will. I had the screenshots on my phone. I'm surprised that he caved, and he eventually told her the truth. Gabby was crying and saying that she hates him. My ex-husband was not having it. She took Gabby away from Ben and violently shook her body and called her a brat who doesn't appreciate her dad. I don't know what came on to me. I saw red and pushed my husband out of the way. He called me a beer, and his wife came out and tried to handle him. I got my daughter Gabby, but my husband wasn't letting me. He even got into a physical altercation with my fiancé. Emily was recording it from a distance. My ex kept shouting that he will not let my daughter go with him. I reminded him that this is my turn to have her, and he agreed that he would let my daughter stay with me until the wedding is over. I have the messages with me that he agreed to our agreement. He couldn't do anything, and we left. Upon arriving, Emily asked me if it was possible to keep Gabby with us forever because she didn't want to live with her dad. I asked her why, and then she told me that her dad had been really angry ever since I started a relationship. It wasn't that extreme at first, but then he started insulting me behind my back about how much I downgraded by dating Ben. He got even more agitated when he learned that I was pregnant. He's been asking his wife to start having kids, and they had fights multiple times. It doesn't end there. Emily also mentioned that he would often lash out at Gabby and even scold her for making small mistakes. He even forced both of them to call his wife Mum, but Emily refused. She also told me that the only reason she ever goes back is because she knows that Gabby has to stay with him, and she's just protecting her. I cried and asked her why she didn't tell me. She responded that she saw how happy I was with Ben, so she didn't want to burden me. I don't know what to say. I never wanted my daughter to take this burden. While I'm happy that she tried to protect her sister, I feel disappointed in myself that I was so busy with my new life that I neglected my daughter. Whenever they came home, they were smiling, and I took that as a sign that everything was okay. I told Emily that while I am proud of her, she should have told me. She should have never taken it upon herself to save Gabby. I am their mother, and I will protect them from everything. I was going to let my daughter stay with my ex when I was in my honeymoon so that he would not cry about not spending enough time with his daughters. But now I'm thinking otherwise. I don't know what to do. I'm really stressed, and next week is my wedding. Any suggestions? In the comments, Charlie AP says, I suggest you talk to an attorney today about getting an emergency order for full custody. And OP replies, Gabby has expressed that she wanted to live with me. Emily is old enough to choose which parent that she wants to go to. But Gabby is still young. I thought that until she's old enough to make a choice, the custody would remain the same, but now I think things need to change. Adorable Elephant responds, he shook her violently. This is physical abuse. Go see a lawyer now. And OP replies, I will contact my lawyer and get emergency custody. Is it possible to get it within this week? Because the girls are actually excited for the wedding. I would cancel if I could, and if I have to, but that would mean breaking their hearts. Charlie AP responds, Emily can tell the judge about protecting her little sister at her father's house. The judge will probably order supervised visitation after he or she hears that. An emergency order could be done in one day. It depends on how busy the judge is. Yes, it is possible to get an emergency order due to your ex violently shaking your child. That's physical abuse, plus he's been verbally abusing your child. The amount of people who freak out when the ex starts dating again is mind-boggling, especially the ones who cheated on their ex and left them. I saw another post in Am I the A-hole where the mum who cheated on OP's father with the stepdad freaked out when her ex, who she left 7 years ago, started dating. The mum straight up stalked the girlfriend. The cheater never ends up happy. You see it time and time again because they always want something new and shiny, and nothing is new and shiny forever. They don't realize that things stay shiny when you polish them. And yeah, that is far too true. I would hope that the next update to this situation, we see that the custody is taken away from this abusive, verbally and physically abusive father. Or at the least, see a change like was recommended where he only has supervised visitation. Seems a lot safer for the youngest daughter that way. It's upsetting that situations like this have to occur in the first place, but yeah, like these people said, the cheater never ends up happy. You see it time and time again. It's a tale as old as time, and it will continue to repeat in the future because history continues to repeat itself. I love that. But what about you guys? I want to know what you, person in the car on the way to work listening to this, thinks about this down in the comments below. Obviously, don't text and drive. I'm not going to advocate for that, but I do want to know your opinion on this story. Our next post is by user RaulJPD, titled, Attempting to build a relationship with my son after being an absent father and could use some guidance on how to move forward. I guess I'll just start right in with the story. In 1992, my then on and off girlfriend got pregnant and had our first son. At the time, I was working for a landscaping company making pennies and was in no way emotionally or financially ready for a child. I wasn't mature enough for that yet. I let my cowardice get the better of me. I accept full responsibility for my actions. Rather than being a man and taking care of my son, I fled. I left St. Louis for Colorado. I had a friend who had set up a job for me, and I went after it, completely leaving my son and his mother alone. Life went on, and I did my best to forget about them. I would tell myself that I'll go back when I'm ready, but I never really made plans to do it. As time went by, I met someone, got married, started a business, and then started a family. I had 4 kids. The oldest is currently 19, and the youngest is 7. I was able to provide a very good life for my family, and late last year, around my oldest son's birthday, I finally faced the fact that I had completely abandoned him, and I didn't know if he was still alive at this point. I left him and his mother poor and living in a bad area. It's likely that he could have been in jail or dead. I decided to confess this to my wife and my children. It was a very rough week I put on my wife. When we finally told my kids, they were rightfully furious and demanded that I find their brother and let him know that he has a family. I ended up being able to get in contact with his mother. After a long conversation, she hung up on me and then days later called me and told me how hard it was for my son to grow up without his father and just how much he suffered. All the nights he cried, the teams he quit, the fights he got into, the identity crisis he went through. She told me everything, and at the end she told me that I could come because she thought that he would want to meet me. She also told me about the man he became without me. He's a medical student on a scholarship at Washington University, and he volunteers for Big Brothers Big Sisters. He's become one hell of a young man, no thanks at all to me. I took my wife and I flew out to see him. Our first meeting went roughly since I said the wrong thing to him. I foolishly told him that I was proud of him, and he took exception to that, rightfully so. After he cooled down, we sat together and had lunch. We had a great conversation. We laughed and bonded a little. I told him about his siblings, and he tensed up. He said he wasn't anywhere near ready to talk about them. I don't blame him. They grew up in a situation that he dreamed about, and he grew up in hell. He said that he wants to get to know me and eventually his siblings, but that it has to be slow, and certainly not during while he's busy with school. He said he has some time in the summer and that he would fly out to Colorado and we could do some outdoorsy things together. My question is, how do you think this is best approached? What would you tell me to keep in mind while spending time with him? What should my mindset be going in? Edit to add some context, he also understandably is distant. For example, when he said he'd fly out and I offered to cover it, he just shook his head and said, "Nope, you don't owe me anything." He refers to his siblings as your kids, which I get since he has no connection to them. Honestly, what can you say in this situation? Just think before you talk, and think again about how many situations that you could step on eggshells here. This amazing man obviously has so much trauma that you have burdened him with and that you are obviously now trying to repair, but oh my god. This is a rough repair process and you're obviously taking your time to figure out what you can and can't say around him. I think the way you approach this is by asking yourself, what do you want out of this? What is the end goal? What do you want changed? I feel like it has to be a clear and concise goal that you set for yourself, and then think of everything you've done wrong this past week or so, and just find a way to bridge that gap without hurting feelings and without bringing up past traumas. Think of the present. Try not to burn too many bridges by bringing up the past in a bad way. In the comments, I'm Not Your Cunter says, I think you need to put together an accounting of how much child support you ought to have paid, including interest. Send his mother a lump sum check, even if you have to refinance and mortgage your home to do it, or sell any item that you own, like a motorcycle, boat, hunting cabin, etc. If his mother refuses the money, then establish a non-modifiable trust fund for him and his mother and deposit the money into it. Next, add him to your will, equal to your other children, because after I'm sorry comes making amends. As for your role in his life, follow his lead. I hope your wife and children forgive you, and I wish the best for this son and his mother, and you too. The Hat on the Cat says, I agree he owes the back child support and should pay it. However, in an effort to make amends, he can't forget to balance the financial needs of his still dependent children and the fact that his wife has no idea and financial decisions are mutual. It is possible OP can afford to make a single lump sum payout all at once, but many families can't, and he needs to see how his wife feels about this. Any possessions are hers as well, especially their home if they even own it. OP says, this is a good idea. I'll do exactly this. The child support, letting him lead, all of it. Lurk409 replies, the child support could easily make it seem like you're trying to buy your way in, which I think would not end well. I would tread lightly around this. It could easily go the wrong way. Lurk409 also says, I think you need to take it slow and be there and open while still letting him lead. You also need to understand that you are about as much of a father to him as I am, which is to say, none at all. You don't really get to just swoop in and expect to be dad. You are a stranger to him just like anyone else. Maybe actually worse, because in his eyes, you rejected him. If you put in the work and give it time, the two of you may develop a relationship as he gets older and more mature, and also sees that you aren't going anywhere. This could take a decade or more, and may never happen at all. And OP replies, I have no expectations. I don't think I have a right to. I only hope that we can build a relationship and I can make amends. And now, on to the update. He allowed me to fly him out to Colorado for a few days to spend time with his siblings, who are all dying to meet him. It went really well. His siblings already adore him. He's all they can talk about. He instantly, naturally went from stranger to big brother. It's really remarkable how seamlessly he embraced that role. He spent the time he was there mainly with them. I gave him a car to drive them all around, and they had a blast. My baby girl cried when he left. My oldest was obsessed. She said at one point, "We've got 19 years of selfies to catch up on." It was really nice to see them together like that. He went back to St. Louis for clinicals, he said. But they all exchanged numbers and social media info, and they're staying connected. A couple of memories that stand out to me were watching him play wrestle with his brothers and talking to my oldest daughter about what it's like to be in med school. She's trying to figure out what she wants to do, and having him there as an experienced voice is just so heartwarming. Of course, there is a struggle. My sons and my oldest daughter outright told me they respect me less as a father and a man. That was and is a tough pill to swallow, but I do understand it. Wife asked for counseling because of my deception and because she never thought that I could be capable of something like this. But at least my son is at least slightly happy with his siblings. That's all for now. In the comments, what really pisses me off is that once he was in the financial position to do so, he never sent money. This, yeah, okay, his wife wants counseling and his kids respect him less, but damn, was he let off effing easy. Let off easy, yes, but don't forget where credit is due. The kid's mom is a badass. She raised him throughout all the bullcrap, and he came out like a great guy, where all the kids are like, "My brother's awesome." Yeah, for real, the situation was really tough growing up according to OP, but he is still a medical student. Extremely tough achievement even with a normal childhood, volunteers for other at-risk youth, and was mature enough to put aside his issues with a deadbeat to meet his siblings, and was clearly a positive influence on them too. I'm glad OP's ex-wife and kids all called him out on his bullcrap. I'm also glad things seem like they're going well though. The kids' bonding was really touching. Hopefully OP can make it up to everyone. It seems like some great first steps. Maybe his wife can see past this, but I don't think anyone else will be able to. I don't think she will be able to either. OP doesn't dwell in her reaction so much, but the request for counseling for me sounds like the beginning of the end for that marriage. Honestly, all very interesting tidbits that I didn't personally think of straight away. Yes, it does seem like he's put his best foot forward in some ways to fix things with this son of his. But at the same time, there seems to be a lot of potential information that OP even touched on in the first post that they don't touch on in the update, and in the comments they said nothing. I do question the reality of the situation, given what these people have said, and given the lack of information from OP. Anyway, that is where I'm going to leave today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below. I love you. Have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.